and it's the Annabelle doll just going, ah. It's like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, we just found this doll and we purchased it from this creepy guy, and the doll was talking to us, and the doll told us, like, hey, could I live with you? And they were like, yeah, sure, of course you can come live with us, Annabelle. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content in my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch, where I play single-player games, multiplayer games, I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video. But now, guys, we got to get to all the content for tonight, all right? Starting with my review. My scene-by-scene breakdown of The Conjuring, chat. James Wan's 2013 haunted house ghost movie. Now, I have a question for you guys. I have a question, and then we'll get all the details and my thoughts on the movie, my thoughts on this subgenre of horror. Some of you already know my general opinion on it, but, you know, some of you might not. It might be a surprise to you. But, chat, I'll ask you a very important question. Starting off right here. How many of you have seen James Wan's The Conjuring? The first one, numero uno. I'm very, very curious about this. Tuto, I've never seen any one of these movies. Fair enough. There you go. Casfe. Yes, a while ago to your Dark Slayer. Don't care for modern horror, so no. Rocker Birdie. Nope. Good to see you, Rocker Birdie. Welcome. Steve. Dan, this movie came out 8 years. I know, 8 years ago. Alex Pinal. Yes. Chris Ayers. Oh, yes. Vaso. I own it. Stranger Shoe. Never seen it. Hamilton. Burger. I've never seen either Conjuring. Yeah, but now it's going to be 3. Mordecai, once, barely remember. Judas, never seen any of them. No Name Woman. Oh, yes. I've not seen any of them since Axel Ace Rock. Yeah, a long time ago, I liked it a lot. Vaso, and I've watched it 3 times. Oh, the original, nice. Larry Miguel, good to see Larry Miguel. Black Citizen, I have seen all of the Conjuring movieverse. Nice, okay, I haven't even seen all of them. Very cool. I watch all of those films. I love films that deal with cursed items and hauntings. I study some of that shit, that stuff in real life. Wow, look at that. Very cool, very cool. This one with the SpongeBob song, I don't think so. I don't believe, no, it's not. No, it's not that one. I think that's the second one. Maybe it is. It could be, maybe not. I don't remember. No, I guess it's not, because they all take place in the past. I honestly, I don't remember which one has the SpongeBob song. It might be, I think it's in a different movie. Maybe it's in the Insidious films. Perhaps it's in those. I don't remember. So I get confused. I get confused with some of these movies because they're very, very similar. And James Wan is the director and producer of all of them. You know, I'm kind of, I have seen this film, chat. I have seen this one. I've seen the second one, I think. Yeah, I've seen the second Conjuring movie. I've seen the first and second Annabelle, and I think that's it. I think that's all I've seen of the Conjuring verse. So I'm kind of in the same boat with a lot of you guys. I haven't seen too many of these movies. And I think the big reason for that, I've talked about this before, and just in general, I love the horror genre, especially when it comes to like sci-fi horror or space horror or body horror. Like that's kind of my thing. Movies like Alien, The Thing, The Fly, A Quiet Place, most recently, A Quiet Place Part 2, creature features. Like I really like those a lot, or cosmic horror, dealing with entities from different dimensions. I think that's interesting to me. But I've never been a big fan of haunted house films, of ghost movies. And the big reason for that, there are, of course, exceptions to the rule. Poltergeist, or maybe the others. Exorcism films I'm not a big fan of either. And the reason why I'm just not a big fan of these movies is that they always feel like they're doing the exact same thing every time. It's like it's the same thing. They all have a very similar fucking structure. Maybe there'll be like a few differences here or there. But for the most part, the formula it's very basic. Family moves into a house. Weird stuff starts happening in the house. Things are moving around. Things are breaking. Little kid sees a ghost, talks to the ghost, befriends ghost. Ghost starts acting aggressive, fuck up the family. You bring in some people to exorcise the house or a family member, and you do it, or either you don't, and it ends either way. It's just kind of the same thing every time. Bad Shields, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the 10 biddies. Waiting for Marvel to realize the horror genre. That'd be cool. I like to see their interpretation of horror. Thank you, Bad Shields, for the 10 biddies, and hope you and KD are doing great. But I'm just kind of bored by that subgenre of horror, because it's just repeating the same fucking thing all the time. And I'm not a believer in the supernatural. I'm not a religious person, but that's why I think like sci-fi or aliens, like I believe in aliens. I believe aliens are a real thing. I mean, this is a vast fucking universe. Of course, there's other species. Of course, like I think it's very plausible that, hey, we might discover a fucking disease and bring it back to Earth and it'll fuck with us. I mean, that makes sense to me. But the idea of there's ghosts, I'm like, yeah, it's not my thing. But I know a lot of people are religious and they do believe in the supernatural, and this does freak them out. Hey, more power to you. It doesn't work for me on various levels. But I think when it comes down to the end of the day is that it just repeats the same things over and over and over again. And that's the thing that I've always been kind of confused by with the Conjuring verse films, because it's not really, these movies aren't really doing anything different than other haunted house movies or ghost movies or exorcism movies that have come before. The only thing I can think of is that, you know, it's a one connected universe, and I think that's the appeal. And they hint at each other, and the characters from other movies appear in other films, like the Warrens. You know, Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, respectively, who were the real life ghost hunters. They were con people. They were, you know, they were a con couple, Chet, if you will. We were just bamboozling naive people for most of their lives, and they sold their story, and they're obviously not alive anymore, but them and their family, they've made a lot of money off of the name, clearly. But yeah, it just never really appealed to me. However, I do like with a lot of James Wan's work. James Wan is an odd filmmaker to me, where it's like I have a lot of respect for him, what he's been able to create, what he's been able to do. Like, he is a talent. I'm just not a big fan of most of his movies. Like, the one film of his I actually think I really do like is the Fast and Furious 7. Furious 7, I really like that movie a lot. Did you also think about this? You're more afraid of alien life form burst through your chest than some wailing bitch in a band house. Pretty much. Like, at this point, I'd be like, all right, just fucking come out and fuck with me. I'd be like, let's just get this over with. Let's stop with the foreplay. Ghosts are all about the tease. See, ghosts are all about the goddamn tease, and these monsters, they're like, nah, I want to fucking eat you now, motherfucker. I'm gonna get you now. Like, it's very like, let's go. Where I think I have a lot of, I have issues with the pacing in ghost movies, because they're so fucking similar, and they always go through the same process every fucking time when you have a poltergeist or a ghost. It's like, oh, weird things are happening, and it starts slow, them kind of fucking you a little bit, and then they get aggressive, and they get really mean, and they try to kill you, but then it's the same fucking thing over and over and over again. I'm just kind of like, all right, here we go. And you know, I guess but a lot of people like that. A lot of people believe in the supernatural and are very religious, and so this does appeal to them. I mean, The Exorcist, chat, it's one of the most iconic films of all time. Again, that's a movie I'm not really a particularly big fan of. I think it's just, you know, I think it's kind of, a lot of this stuff to me, like the ghost, the things that the ghosts do, they're just kind of assholes. They're just pranksters, and they just go too far. It's like if Steve-O, chat, or Johnny Knoxville was haunting your house. That's what all poltergeists are to me. Like, they're like, when we first watch a Jackass film, of course, chat, I mean, yeah, they're going to do some cool stunts. It's like, ooh, shit, but then they save, like, the really, like, badass ones and really horrifying ones in the last third of the movie. That's what a ghost movie is, Chet. It's supernatural Jackass if Steve-O was just haunting your house. That's what it is. It's like, I know the formula at this point. And, you know, but despite all that, like James Wan, like he popularized the torture porn subgenre. He continues to popularize the ghost and haunted house subgenres. And those are just genres of horror I just don't really care for. They never appealed to me. But hey, he created franchise of them. He's made himself a very rich man. He's introduced a lot of talented people to the film industry, and so I'm happy for him for doing that. But in terms of what he's created, like, I'm not, like, I respect the man. I'm just not really interested in what he's created over time. That's just kind of me. He did do Aquaman, which I'm not a big fan of. Not a big fan of Aquaman, but all the power to James Wan and chat. I mean, look, he's created one of the most successful, I mean, I think I could say one of the most successful franchises of all time. Certainly one of the most successful ongoing horror franchises of all time, chat. The Conjuring verse, which is not only the Conjuring films, chat, which we have the third one coming out very soon. You also have the Annabelle movies. You also have The Nun, La Llorona. I think there might be some other ones. I'm not sure. There could be. Oh, no, he did Saw. But that's not part of the Conjuring verse. That's part of the Saw franchise. They're not connected. But he also created them. He directed the first one, maybe some of the other ones, and I know he produced like all of the other ones. I don't know what he had to do with. I don't know if he had anything to do with Spiral. I'm not sure. I have no idea. Apparently, that movie did not do very well, from what I've heard. It's not great. Again, I haven't seen it, but you But this was the first one, and of course, it was a commercial and critical success, chat. It had a budget of about $20 million, made $319.5 million, chat, like $500,000 shy of $320 million worldwide. And of course, it probably made fucking bank on VOD, chat. You know, these films sell very well on VOD and obviously are watched regularly on streaming, chat. No question about it. And, you know, I will say this about the film. The thing is, what I admire, I admire several things about this. One, I think it was pretty cool to, instead of, because for most of these haunted house movies, they focus mostly just on the family, and then they bring in the paranormal people like later on. And the movie does that, but at the same time, James Wan he includes the Warren couple. Like, even though they're not in the movie until like a lot of the times, until maybe the last 2/3. Like in the first third, they're rarely even in. They're in the beginning, and they take a break from them, and then we don't really see them for a half hour, and they bring them back, you know, over the last like an hour or so. I did like that these movies at least focus on them and their relationship, and it's like Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, they do have good chemistry. I do buy them as this couple. I do like the more dramatic scenes with them. That works. Like that's when the writing, I think, is strongest movies when they're on screen. Thank you, Chris Harris, for the 10 biddies. But you know, I admire the practical effects in this movie. They use a lot of practical effects in this film. I mean, it's doing the typical ghost shit, like we're gonna open that door, or flipping people around and stuff. The problem is that some of the practical effects come off like really unintentionally funny to me. Like, again, it's indulging all the crazy haunted house shit, chat, where people are like, wah! Or they're flaying people around the room, getting their ass kicked, just getting smacked around. And I'm sorry, but I just laugh during those scenes. I know they're supposed to be scary, but they're just not to me. It's almost like the fucking Three Stooges are suddenly haunting the house, and they're like poking people in the eyes and going, like, doing all that shit. And I was like, all right. And also, my other criticism of the movie, other than just indulging all the tropes, every single trope is in this film. There's not a single trope that they do not do. It's all in here. And it's like, shit, man. I thought when I watched it years ago, I was like, you know what? That movie, I liked it. It was a little different than ghost films. Most ghost films, like, nah, it's the same fucking shit. It's the same stuff over again. And the other thing is they have some CGI in this movie, and none of it is good. None of the CGI is good in this movie. It's like, it doesn't look good. I mean, again, it's a low-budget film, $20 million, but still, it's like, well, if you're using all these practical effects, then why are you using CGI if you know it's not going to look good? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's weird to me, chat. But, you know, despite all that, 69 viewers. Nice. Nice, chat. Let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty details, chat. And it starts off with stupid fucking people. Just Darwin Award-winning people, chat. It was like, you are dumb. Why are you making these choices? It starts out like in, 1968 or 69, chat. We're introduced to one of the Warrens' cases. And the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, they're paranormal investigators, supernatural investigators, demonologists, chat. Whatever you want to say. Ed, he specializes in exorcisms, even though he needs to have a priest with him to do these things. Lorraine, she's a clairvoyant. She's able to see the dead, speak of the dead. At times, that's the thing. Really, the real life Ed and Lorraine Warren were fucking con artists, just tricking people and on their naivete. And they're able to sell their story and make a profit, and they made a name for their family. And their name continues to make money right now, Chad. Like, no question about it. But I'm not bringing that in there. I'm not saying something. You shouldn't watch these films because the original people were con artists. I'm not saying that. Watch these films. These are very, very, very loose adaptations of their cases, Chad, and that's fine. But we start with one of their first cases, Chad, like in 1969 or 68, and apparently they've gone to interview these two women who are living in an apartment. And these two women, Chad, they recently made a purchase. And I'm like, well, what did they purchase? I forgot. I haven't seen this movie in 7 years. And they purchased, their newest, they call it their roommate. And they're like, and let Ed and Lorraine Warren, you purchased your new roommate? And they go, yeah, but she was pretty convincing. And the camera cuts to their new roommate, and it's the Annabelle doll just going, ah. It's like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, we just found this doll and we purchased it from this creepy guy, and the doll was talking to us, and the doll told us, like, hey, could I live with you? And they were like, yeah, sure, of course you can come live with us, Annabelle. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And the way this thing looks, like the real life Annabelle doll, it was just a Raggedy Ann doll. But this thing, it's like, why would you buy this? It's just like, just staring at you. This rictus grin, chat. It's all pale and cracked, and it has these giant blue, just soulless fucking eyes, chat. The devil's eyes. The dress is all tattered and gross looking. It's like, I would not, first of all, I wouldn't even pick that fucking thing up, let alone allow it to leave, or to live in my apartment. But I just love it, like, oh yeah, we just decided that it was okay for it to live with us. It asked, and it's like, first of all, if this fucking thing's asking you to live with you, be like, fuck, we gotta get out of here now. Why would you do that? So I'm like, oh gee, this is the unintentionally funny stuff coming in the movie. And Ed and Lorraine Warren will tell us about what's happened recently. And these two girls, so we got back from class one day. We got back to class. They get back to class, and they open the door. And, of course, it's all fucking weird shit. The lights are going off and everything. Typical haunted house bullshit. And they walk in this room. They see Annabelle just sitting in the hallway like this. And Annabelle barely moves. Annabelle's go-to move in all these movies is just turning its head. That's all it does. And they see right next to Annabelle is this bunch of red crayons. Like, how the fuck did she get these crayons? And it has a message written on like this ripped piece of paper, and it says "Miss me?" ? And they're like, Annabelle, why'd you do this? Annabelle, like, talking to the fucking doll. And they go into Annabelle's. Why do they have a room for the doll? Like, I don't understand any of that. That's what's, it's like. Who the fuck are these two girls? They're going to college and they're letting this fucking demonic doll live with them. Very weird setup to this. I forgot this was in it. I forgot Annabelle was in this, chat. Annabelle, like, I kind of like what they do with Annabelle and the Barbarino ghost, whatever her name is, chat. I have another name for her. Because they kind of team up at one point. It's like, this is kind of interesting. But I don't know why they allowed this fucking doll to live with them. And they open up the room, and all around the room, chat, it's just scrawled out in red crayon, kind of like blood. Miss me, miss me, miss me, miss me, over and over and over again. And then the fucking crayon, they have a jump scare where a crayon rolls into the room. And they go, oh, witness! Witness me! Vanna Spheres, thank you so much for the rain. Everybody on the dance floor. Ray, what are you doing today, Vanny? We're in the middle of my review for The Conjuring, dealing with one of the Warrens' famous cases. Very curious. Oh, marathon stream of Final Fantasy. Oh, nice. I like Final Fantasy V. Very good, very good. Now, Chad, you want to see a quality streamer, especially one who loves the Final Fantasy games. Chad, playing some of those original ones right now. Check out Vanna Spheres and his various platforms. Would appreciate it, Chad. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Van. Cheers and salute to you, my friend. But, they decide, well, Annabelle, you can't live here anymore. And so they fucking take the demonic doll, and the one girl's like, don't do that. Don't do it to Annabelle. And she just throws in this giant fucking dumpster. And Annabelle, right before they close it, she's like, you fucked up, bitch. You fucked up. And the thing that cracks me up is they cut back to the Warrens, and they're like, okay, so you threw the doll away. First of all, you shouldn't have done that because she's attached herself. She attached herself to you two. Divine Miss Klein. I want to thank you so much. Thank you for resubscribing 3 months in a row. But seriously, thank you for that $50 donation. I saw that you submitted that off stream. And I want to thank you so much. That is so kind of you. Cheers and salute to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. AC still not working. I bought that AC unit, but regular AC still not working. But thank you so much for that. That was so incredibly generous of you. I hope you're having a very nice Monday evening. Currently in the middle of my Conjuring review, where these two dumb college co-eds just threw out the Annabelle doll after inviting it to live with them in their home, as if that's a normal thing. And they're like, well, first of all, because the Warrens are like, okay, why did you invite the doll to live with you? And it's like, we thought she was nice. We thought she was cool. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Because clearly, what was inside the doll, they've explained it, there's a demon living inside the doll. It's using it as a fucking conduit, a vessel. I'm like, what's the conduit? And they go, well, it's a vessel. It's like an entity, a ghost, a poltergeist, a demon. Satan himself will often possess these inanimate objects and, interact with the real world and in a desire to possess something more corporeal, more real, of the meat and the flesh and the blood and the viscera. And they're like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. And they're like, yeah, so what else happened after that? Well, this is what happened. And then we learn, first of all, these girls, okay, like, if you have a situation that happens like this in your home, this fucking possessed doll was running around, maybe, and scrawling on all the goddamn walls, miss me, miss me, miss me, your first thought would probably be, we gotta leave, we got the fuck out of here. We can't stay here anymore. That's your first thought. But no, they're like, okay, let's go to bed. They go to bed in their own separate rooms. It's like bull fucking shit. It's like, okay. And then during the night, they hear this bah, 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 this knocking at the front door. And it's just super loud, bah, 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 bah. And of course, they're like, who's knocking? Is it Annabelle? Annabelle? And they're like, who the what? Stranger Shoot, thank you so much for the 5 Bs. Event Horizon, Annabelle, yes. See, but sometimes Satan will also possess a spaceship. He changes. He's like, doll today, futuristic spaceship tomorrow, as he goes back and forth, chat. You have the one girl whose room is closest to the front door. She opens. She's like, oh, God, Annabelle? And we see the message on the floor. It says, miss me? And they hear a bah, bah. They hear like a loud knocking that came from their living room. And they're like, holy shit. And they look in the room. And it's just Annabelle just sitting there like, what's up? And that's it. And then that's what happened. And they're like, this thing, it's possessed by a demon. So we're just going to take it. But you said that and imprinted on us. He's like, don't worry about it. We're just going to take it. And that's it. That's the opening of the movie. Blap, blap, blap. It's just Nia Brown. But I just love it. This is unintentionally funny stuff. It's like, why the fuck would you? They're aware. The doll is like talking to them. And they're like, you want to be our roommate? It's not like they bought the doll like, oh, this looks so fucking cool. Or it's so cute. Like, I'm like, all right, first of all, stupid. But the fact that they acknowledge the doll is talking to them, which we don't see any of that. We just hear it from them. The only thing we ever see Annabelle doing in this franchise is that's it. That's all we've ever seen. At least as far as I know. I've never seen the third Annabelle movie, so it could be different. The Asylum, welcome to stream. Hope you're doing very well. And they, even though the Warrens say, yeah, this thing imprinted on you, a demon tricked you to live with you, they're like, we're just going to take it off your hands. We're going to put in our fucking, fucking museum of the occult. And so they take this fucking thing home and they put it in this like box. They put it in this goddamn like glass box and lock it. And then the next day, Ed Warren, he's showing this, I don't know, I guess this newspaper reporter. Thank you so much, Steve, with 100 biddies. Oh my God, Annabelle be like this. That's what she does. She's like, that's it. That's all she does. At least in the movies I've seen her in. She might do something differently in the third one. Again, I don't know. But she does not get up. She does not get off her ass, chat. She's just like, hey, that's it. She apparently does things, but we never see it. Maybe the demon leaves her body. I don't fucking know. Who knows? I don't know. They change things with all these ghost movies all the time. But it's like, all right, shit. And so this newspaper reporter, he comes in. But I will say, no thing I will play this movie for is I like that they're all period pieces. Because then it's like 3 years later, and we're in that 70s. I think it's like 1971. And like all the fashion, all the like the aesthetic of the homes, they're all in that late 60s, early 70s look. Like everything is like all the wallpapers, floral wallpaper. Everyone has these fucking blazers on and things. Like I really do appreciate James Wan like definitely adhering to that aesthetic. You feel like you're in the late 60s and 70s all the time. And I do like that. Like there's no inconsistencies, at least none that I could spot in this movie. Maybe in some of the other ones, but I like that they adhere to that fully. It's like, it's cool. It's cool. It also makes sense why everything does look so fucking old. But he shows the reporter, it's like reporter, and the reporter's asking him, so, listen, because Ed Warren's like, oh yeah, we got all these cursed objects, and we see like samurai armor, we see like all these little doodads and knickknacks, and they're all fucking creepy and pointy and things. It's like, I don't like any of this. And the reporter, and he's like, oh, and is that the famous Annabelle doll who committed all those murders back in the day? And it's like, oh, are we going to see that story, chat? We will. And he goes, yeah, we keep it in this glass case. And the reporters ask him, it's like, hey, aren't you, if you believe in all this stuff, I mean, isn't this kind of dangerous to keep all this occult, supernatural ghost shit here? And everyone's like, oh, don't worry about it. We bring a priest here every month. He just blesses the room. And I guess, chat, you have to do that every month because then it's like, oh, shit, it's going to run out. It's going to run out. It's like antivirus software because if you miss a month, you're fucked. If you're 1 day late, that's it. Then all the ghost shit comes alive. Like, they're just, ooh, you missed 1 minute. We can just come in here. We can fuck with you. But I guess it never happens until, I think it does. I think some of their stuff comes alive like a later movie, maybe. I think that's like the third Annabelle film. Doesn't Annabelle like come alive? And it's like, all right, now I'm fucking free. Yay. But he tells him, no, we get a priest that comes in here and he's approved by the Vatican to do like a blessing and the exorcisms and shit. And he does all that shit. And it's like, oh shit. And then the reporter sees something moving behind him. He's like, oh, what's that? Oh, and he's like, oh, sorry, it's my daughter. And the daughter's like, hi, I think her name is like Judy or something. And he's like, Judy, you're not supposed to be in the scary, spooky museum room. She's like, I am sorry, Father. I just wanted to see the doll. And he's like, no, you can't see that doll, but she looks so pretty. She does not look fucking pretty, chat. She's fucking terrifying. And he takes her out of there, and the doll's like, I'm gonna get you, bitch. One day I'm gonna get you. I love that the doll is just like, I'm gonna fucking get you. Just looking at her. Yeah, Annabelle 3 is basically everything that room fucking with the Warren's daughter and her friend. Hilarious. Thank you for the 5 minutes. I'm looking forward to that one. I heard that one's not great. We shall see. We shall see. But they walk out of the room, and the reporters were like, huh. And then Ed and Lorraine, they're talking afterwards. And we see that they have chickens or some bullshit. But I'm just getting all the Ed and Lorraine scenes out of the way in the beginning, because these are like weirdly placed in the film, because for the most part we spend most of our time with the family for the first half hour, 40 minutes, and we don't really ever go back to Ed and Lorraine until much later in the film. So I'm getting this all through right here. And you know, Ed's like, I think he might be a believer. And they also own chickens, by the way. And these chickens make the most terrifying clucking noise I've ever heard. It's not natural, like cluck, 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 like chickens. No, this one's going, it's like, what chicken does that? That's a problem. Why the fuck is that chicken making that? That scared me more than anything. Everything's so far, like the Annabelle fucking doll, the little creepy Judy girl, Wednesday Addams. You know, that's their daughter's basically Wednesday Addams. I was like, there's something wrong with that fucking kid. But it's the chicken. I don't know what the fuck that chicken was doing. It's not that clicking from her. No, it's like, it's like a whale. Someone's doing something to that chicken, chat. I don't know what the hell it is. And it's like, we might have a believer on our hands. And she's like, well, that's good. They need to believe and all that bullshit. Also, they do like, they do lecture tours at universities and things, and they show footage. They show this one footage of this exorcism that they did with this French guy who only talked at or only had an education up to a 3rd grade level, and he's all fucked up and shit. And they reference other things. But anyway, chat's not important, because now we got to get to the actual case, the case of the Perrons. I think that's what their name is, chat. The Perrons. You have the Warrens, you got the Perrons, and this is the Conjuring. This is the crux of the movie, chat. And we cut to this family of 7, chat. It's a big fucking family, chat. We got Mr. Perron, we got Mrs. Perron, and their 5 fucking daughters, chat. That's a brood and a half, Lord. And apparently, he's a trucker, so he's traveling all the time. And apparently they have, money issues and things. So they've sunk all their money into this house they got for very cheap, chat. I think it's somewhere in Rhode Island. And the Warrens live in Connecticut. By the way, there's something weird with how fast these people are able to get to, like, each other's houses. Like, I know Connecticut and Rhode Island, like, in the same area, but it still would take a few hours to get there, but we'll get to that later on. Like, I don't think James Wan understands geography. Witness! Witness me! Silent, thank you so much for the rain. Everybody on the dance floor. Right. Good to see you, Zon. I hope you're doing very well. We're in the middle of my review for The Conjuring, the original. Fuck, 5 girls, I can't deal with one. That's the thing, though, Divine Miss Klein, because, like, they're like, oh, there's ghosts in our house. No, you're just fucking stressed out because you're dealing with 5 daughters. That sounds like a nightmare. It's like, I mean, child rearing is hard, yeah. Taking care of kids is hard, but 5 girls of various ages, some of them going through puberty right now, some of them who are like 5 years old, like, that's a lot to deal with. And I'm like, that's what's making you go fucking nuts. It's not these goddamn ghosts. It's the fact you're losing your own sanity because you're dealing with all this estrogen in the room. That's what it is. And the dad's on the road constantly. There's the explanation for all this bullshit. If the dad's on the road constantly, the mom has to rear all these kids by herself. There's a reason why she's going fucking nuts. What, my dad had 4 daughters? Oh, I'm not saying it was difficult. It's difficult to raise these kids. It makes sense. Fuck that shit. Right? And thank you again, Xylon, for that raid. Very, very kind. Cheers. And so all this support tonight, chat. I love it. After that, they all pull up to the house. They'll pull up, and it's a creepy fucking house. You're like, yeah, this is creepy. There's a weird fucking tree in the backyard, and they're all like, yeah, let's go inside the house. It looks so cool. And all the daughters sound that way, and they're all going every fucking different direction, shit. And they're the mom and dad are walking. They're like, this looks great. Oh, this is wonderful. Let's bring in all the boxes and shit. All the daughters like, this is my room. This is my room. And then they have like a dog or something. The dog's like, I think the dog, Airbud. I think the dog was Airbud, Chad. You always want to know what happened to Airbud. As we all know, Chad, he played the basketball. He played the football, the baseball, the hockey, Chad. He's done everything. He's had space puppies. But what happened to Airbud? We know now. He apparently was adopted by this goddamn family, Chad. He was adopted by this family, and he's like, I made a wrong choice being adopted by this family because the dog's the only one that's like, I ain't stepping foot in that fucking house. And it's always the pet. It's always either the dog or the cat that the dog's like, the dog's like barking and shit, or the cat's going, like there's something evil there. And, you know, you have the dad, Mr. Perron, and he's like, come on, come in the house, boy, come on. He's like, I ain't going in there. No fucking thank you. The dog stays outside. And so all the girls, they start, putting all their shit in there. And you have the littlest girl, Chet, so indulging the tropes. You have the little girl who goes all the way in the backyard to the creepy fucking tree, which you see right here, Chet. This creepy fucking tree, complete with noose right there. It's like, all right, that's a little weird. And she finds a magical music box. It's like, why? And it looks like it's just covered in lead paint. It's dirty. She's like, this is so pretty. And she starts playing with it and shit. It's like, that's not good. That's not good. This is the original Conjuring movie, yes. And eventually, like, one of the sisters go out, or the mom goes outside. It's like, what'd you find? I don't know any of the daughters' names. I have no fucking clue what their names are, chat. It's hard to keep track. One, I think, is named Sadie. Maybe the dog was named Sadie. Either the dog was named Sadie, or one of the daughters is named Sadie. I think the other one was like Kirsty. I don't fucking remember. No, this is the one trope that drives me nuts. When the pet goes, oh yeah, it does. In every ghost movie trope you can think of, it's in this movie. Every single one. They're all. I don't think I missed anything. But Air Bud, he's fucking freaking out. He's like, he doesn't like it. And the mom goes outside. It's like, what'd you find? And she's like, I found this music box. Isn't it pretty? It's like, no, it's not pretty. It looks disgusting. It's covered in rust. You have not had your tetanus shot, so you're gonna get cut and you're gonna be infected with the gangrene. You're gonna have to cut your little paw off, your little hand. And she's like, no, I like it. And she goes inside and shit. She's like, oh boy, here we go. And so they start setting up and the mom's like, ooh, I got a weird feeling out here. It's like, yeah, no shit. And that creepy tree, which looks straight from Poltergeist. It looks like it's in the shape of a fucking hand, like reaching towards the house. And it's like, yeah, that's creepy. The dog is Sadie? Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm going to call it Air Bud. It's Air Bud to me, chat, damn it. And so they all go in the house. And apparently, chat, there was very little for entertainment back in the day. Very little entertainment. You had the TV, you had the radio. And after that, you just had to play all sorts of games, chat. And so this family's, their favorite game, at least the girls' favorite game, is to play hide and seek, but like, you're blind. This is stupid. You blindfold the person. You spin them around a shit ton of times, and then you run off in the house, somewhere in the house, and you clap like 3 times because they say, "Hey, clap!" And then you using your ears, chat. You have to track them down. Now again, this is the first time they've been into this house before. They have tons of boxes everywhere with sharp, pointy things, glasses everywhere, Chad. And it's like, why would you do this game like right now in a house you are unfamiliar with? So these girls, like, again, all Darwin Award-winning girls here. I don't know what the hell it is, Chad. These children were not raised right. And so they got this one girl. He got 3 of them. The older one's like, fuck this bullshit. I'm going to go in my room. And the little one's like, I'm going to talk to my friend Rory. It's like, is that your imaginary friend? And the daughter's like, yeah. It's like, all right. And so, yeah, these two are spinning one of the sisters around, and she's all like, oh, I'm all dizzy. And she's tripping over everything. She's stomping on shit. And again, I'm just waiting for her to fall down and have like a fucking fork just get stuck in her goddamn eye. It's like, that's what's going to happen, chat. And she's stumbling, and these girls are all hiding and shit, and the mother almost walks in the fucking mom. She's carrying all this glass, chat. Like, if she fell over, all this glass would have been embedded in her bazungas and tummy. It would have been like, oh, it's a safety hazard. It's hide and safety hazard, son, baby. Exactly. She's like, you have to be careful. If I was mom, I was like, we're not playing this game. No, you want to play hide and seek? That's fine, but play hide and seek like normal fucking kids. Don't blindfold yourself. This is the Bird Box Challenge, chat. It's the Bird Box Challenge of 1971, and these 5 girls indulge in it constantly. The fact that a lot of them make it through, I'm shocked. One of them or 2 of them should have died. There's no doubt about it. But they're all like, what's going on? And so the one girl's hiding in this closet, chat, and the one daughter who's blindfolded, like, clap. And she claps, and the girl goes for her, and they fall through this wooden paneling. And they're like, oh my fucking God! Ah! They're all fucking screaming and shit. And the dad, he comes over, it's like, what's the matter, girls? What are you doing? It's like, Dad, we fell over the fucking hole in the wall. We don't understand what's going on. Ah! And he's like, And he's like, honey, bring me some matches. It's like, how about you bring me a fucking flashlight? How about a flashlight? How about a candle or something. No, matches. And I'm like, he's going to burn his fucking fingers all the time. When he sees something weird, he's going to burn his finger and light it, and it's going to disappear. And so he's like, honey, bring me the matches. And he starts, first of all, this fucking mysterious room, which is behind wooden panels, it's like, there's a reason why that thing is blocked off. He's like, let's go downstairs and check out what it is. How about we don't do that? How about we like, no, we'll see that for another day. But he's like, I'm going to do it now in the middle of the fucking night, And so he starts taking off the wooden paneling, Chad's like hitting his hand. He's like, ah. And he takes the matches, Chad. And he starts lighting them as he goes down the stairs. And it's all covered in fucking cobwebs. Like, if one of these fucking matches hit those cobwebs, Chat, with the whole house would have lit up, Chat. The cobwebs are dense. They are thick with webs. And he's waddling down there, and it's just covered in asbestos, lead paint everywhere, all the creepy shit you can imagine haunted house. Grand piano covered in dust. I don't think I've seen this many creepy rocking chairs in the movie. There's a rocking chair in every single room. It's on the front deck. There's in the back deck. There's like all of them are down here. There must be like 15 rocking chairs down in this house, all in the living room and the girls' room. It's like, what the fuck? What's with all the rocking chairs? The Warrens, like the only furniture they own is rocking chairs, because you got to have that scene where something's rocking the chair, but it's not there. It's like, oh my God. But he's walking down there, and of course, Drew's like, he thinks he sees something. He's like, whoa! And he lights another match, and whatever it was is gone. He's like, this is weird. And he heads up there. And he's like, well, this place sure is dirty. We're going to have to clean this out later. But I'm going to leave the matches down here. Okay, he just drops the matches. He's like, well, the camera's like, he dropped the matches right there. I wonder if those are going to come into play later on. Foreshadowing. And then it's later that evening, and all the girls are they finally fucking settled down. It's like, thank God. And they're all in their rooms and shit. They got unpacked quick. They unpacked all their shit. And Mom and Dad, they're by the windows, and Mom, she's looking at the dog, Airbud. Airbud's barking his head off. He's like, rah, 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 as you would, because he's like, the fucking place is haunted. The fucking place is haunted, telling the dumb humans, the dumb two-leggers, that the fucking thing is haunted, Chap, but they're not listening. The two-leggers are not listening. And so Dad, he's like, well, you know what? All this dog barking and these creepy basements where I might have seen a ghost, you know what it's done to me, honey? It's made me super fucking horny, so let's fuck. And so they fuck 1971 style on the bed, Chat. And then it's later in the morning. The mom wakes up. She's like, oh. And she looks at her legs and shit, and they're all fucking bruised. It's like, what'd you do, Mr. Perron? What's his name, Roddy or Rudy? His name is like Rudy or something. Roger, apparently, he likes to fuck hard because she is bruised everywhere. Like on her thighs, Chat. The back of her butt's so bruised. It's like, Roger, what the fuck were you doing, buddy? He was going to town. He was going to town on Mr. and Mrs. Roger Perron, Chat. And I guess the wife's name is Carolyn. And she's like, oh, and she like gets up and shit. And everyone's like doing their thing, making breakfast and stuff. And then you have like the little girl. And she's like, has anyone seen Airbud? And he's like, oh, we kept him outside, honey. He was barking, and we didn't want him to disturb. He's like, okay, I'm going to go say hi to Airbud. I want to show Airbud my new friend, Rory. Is that your imaginary friend? Yeah. And so she goes outside. She's like, la, 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 la. And she goes to the spot where Airbud's tied up. She goes, ah! And they're like, oh, no, what happened? And it's the same thing that always happens in these horror films, Chat. The pet's always the first one to go. And we go outside, and this fucking thing's neck is just run shit. Just moves like, shut the fuck up, Airbud. Like someone just came outside and like wrapped the leash all around it and just hanged it. Chat. And then Airbud died. So you always want to know what happened to Airbud, Chat. Boom. This is the result. And he was trying to help these stupid people, but they were like, whatever. Let's have sex to the dog barking. That's all it was. Dark Side of the Funnies, I can imagine Roger saying, if you don't get bruises, you're not going to rough enough. Yeah. Yep. Thank you so much, EDX, for the 5 minutes. Airbud is fucking dead. And why is this part Airbud? Because it is Airbud Firewolf. That's what it is. People always realize, like, always wonder what happened to Airbud. Here it goes, the origin. He sadly died tragically, Chad. It's a sad fact. Well, after that good stuff, like weird shit starts to happen around the house. Like, you know, they console the daughter and everything. Like, they just think, well, she must have hung herself, or Airbud just hung himself because he got all riled up and he just choked itself to death or something. I was like, all right, it's too bad. You know, I think it's like the next night. I think it's the next night, and the dad is he's at his desk and he hears something, like something wakes him up. He's like, ah, fuck. And he's like walking around the house and it's doing all the creaking doors. Like he shuts the door, like literally, chat. He's like sees the cellar doors open, or the closet door, and at least the cellar's open. He goes over there. He's like, huh. Shuts the door. Okay. Turns around, door opens. He's like, hey! He goes to shut the door, and the door behind the front door opens. He's like, no, what? Now wait a minute. And he's like, girls, are you fucking with me, girls? Now's the time of the games. You got school in the morning, girls. And he goes up to check, and they're all fucking asleep. And he's like, huh. Oh well. And he just goes to bed. He just goes to fucking bed. And I was like, I'd be like, there's something fucking weird going on here. What the hell's going on? I'm like, no one knows. No one knows anything. I was like, all right. We then cut to one of the girls' room chats. Like, so a lot of the girls, like only, I'm trying to think how many girls. There's 5 girls. You have, the eldest has her own room chat because she's going through the woman changes, as they say. Her womanly changes chat are upon her, and she needs her fucking space. And so the other 4, they share rooms. They share rooms. So two to a room chat. And we cut to this one. We cut to Four Eyes, and I think the other one's name is Kristen or something like that. I don't know the other one's name. And Kristen, you know, she likes to sleep chat without any covers on. And so her feet are just out there, and the camera is just lovingly focusing on her feet for some fucking reason. And I don't understand why. And I realized, chat, oh my God. I realized what was going on, because all of a sudden, as we were focusing on her feet, we see her get pulled by something. Like she just moves, and she's like, "What the hell is that?" And she's like, "Four Eyes, stop pulling my feet." And she's like, "What?" And Four Eyes is in her bed, and she, little Kristen goes back to sleep, and all of a sudden, whoa, gets pulled again by her foot. She's like, "The fuck is that?" And I realized, chat, who the ghost is. It's Quentin Tarantino. It's Tarantino, chat, the ghost, because he is lusting after this girl's feet through the whole movie, chat. Like this comes back like not another time, 2 more times. 2 more times the movie. Like this ghost is like, I love those tootsies. Oh, and this little piggy went this way, and this little piggy went that way, man. Just doing all the crack cocaine manageable, chat. And she's like, "Stop pulling on my feet. It's gross. And stop farting. Ew." She's like, "I haven't farted. I'm not farting." And so apparently, Chad, Tarantino ate a lot of beans beforehand before he crawled in this girl's room and just began yanking all her goddamn feet. I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on here, Chad? But it smells like ass. This ghost, whatever it's doing, it smells like ass, and it loves touching little girls' feet. It's like, no fucking thank you. And then it's the next day. And, everyone's like, oh, whatever. And they're going to school. Like the 4 eldest girls, they're all going to school and shit. And they go down the road, the bus and shit. And the moms, the dad, he's a trucker. And so he has like this really long route he has to take. And he'll be back in like a day or 2 or some bullshit. I don't know. And the mom, she gets up. She's doing all her daily chores and errands and things. And she hears the littlest girl like talking like, ha, that's so funny. You're my best friend. And she goes in the room. It's like, "Hey, who you talking to, honey?" She's like, "I'm talking to my friend Rory. I told you about him before." She's like, "Oh, Rory? Is he your boyfriend?" He's like, "No, Mom. He's just my friend." And he's like, "Oh, I don't see Rory, honey. Where is he?" She goes, "I can show you, Mom. Here. It's the magic box." And Mom grabs the mat. It's the fucking rust-covered, just tetanus waiting to happen chat box. And she's like, "You got to open it up, and then you work the crank, and then it spins, and then you can see him." And she's like, "Okay." And it's creepy. There's a fucking demonic clown inside. Like, who made these toys? And she starts to do, and the mirror starts spinning. It's like a spiral and shit. And she's just looking at it, and she's like, huh. She's looking around, and then she sees something fucking walk by, and she's like, what? He's like, "What was that?" He's like, "That's okay, Mommy," but it's the daughter. It's like, oh, it's the daughter walked behind her. She's like, "Oh, honey, you can't scare Mom like that." She's like, "Sorry, Mom. Rory, he went away. It's okay. He just wants to talk to me. He doesn't want to talk to you." And she's like, "Oh, well, that's okay. I hope we can talk to him later." She's like, "They'll all talk to you, Mommy." She's like, "Great." He's like, "Mommy, yes? Do you want to play a game?" And she goes, "Sure, honey. Let's play hide and go seek with the blindfold." "Honey, that game's very dangerous." She's like, "I want to play it." And she's like, "Okay." And so They get the, like, we'll do one game. She's like, all right, it's fine. And so he gets the blindfold and they ties it up around, like, on her face. He's like, I'm going to spin you around, Mommy. And she's like, okay, remember 3 claps? Like, don't worry, I will. And so she spins her mom around. And the mom's like, fucking shit. And mom keeps getting bruises, like, all the time now. Like, bruises all over her arms now. I was like, what the fuck's going on with her? And so she and I love it because the mom starts walking out and immediately walks into a fucking dresser and just puts her hand on some glass. She's like, ah, but it's okay. She doesn't break anything. But it's like, this is a dangerous fucking game. And now the parents are these are bad parents. They're overworked. They're stressed out. The mom has to raise 5 daughters by herself for most of the time. And she's like, I can't fucking take it. They have money issues. There's a lot of explanations here, at least, to why things happen. Whatever. But she's walking around. She's like, okay, honey, clap. And she's like, ah. Here's the clap on, clap off, all that shit. Eventually, she goes to her eldest daughter room. Also, there was a scene earlier in the movie. I forgot to say this. So before this scene, one of the daughters was the father's like walking around. Here's this Bubba, like this knocking from upstairs. Don, thank you so much for rescribing 29 months. Almost to 30, man. Wow, over 2 years subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much, Don. Welcome to stream. Currently with my review for The Conjuring, the first of the James Wan Conjuring films. But there was an earlier scene in the film I forgot about where one of the daughters, one of the middle daughters, like every daughter has like a thing they do. One talks to an invisible friend. The one of them farts constantly. The other one keeps getting their feet pulled on. And there's this other one who sleepwalks. And this one daughter is always walking into the eldest daughter room and just like bonk, 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 like hitting her head against this giant like dresser. And they don't know why. And they like stop her and they take her like, don't wake her up because she's gonna fucking flip out. And they only take her about the bed. There's something weird with that fucking dresser. Like we know, and like it was there in the house before. And it's like, why would you put any clothes in there? It looks evil. Because the mom, she hears the clapping coming from that room. It's like, all right. And so she goes in the eldest daughter room. And she's like, okay, honey, clap. And then these big, giant, weird fucking man hands come out of the wardrobe, the dresser, and go. And it's like, those are not the little girl's hands. I know what, those are not child hands, chat. Those are gross-looking man hands. Thank you. Thank you, Austin, for the host. Welcome to the stream, Austin. Hope you're doing very well. But I'm like, oh, fucking shit. And she's blindfolded. She's like all derpy. She doesn't know, like, oh, honey, is that you? And I was like, yeah, I know. You can hear like a little kid's hands are like, you know, really soft and they go, ha ha, like that. You could tell. But she hears these big fucking meat patty hands just go. And it's like, nah, those ain't fucking kids' hands. But she just goes over to the dresser. We see the hands like disappear into the closet. And she goes over there and she's like, honey, are you here? And then the daughter comes up behind her from like the bedroom door. And she goes, no, Mommy, opened your eyes. What are you doing? She's like, what? And she turns around. She like opens it and there's nothing there. But there were some freaky fucking man hands clapping there. Shit, I saw 'em. I'm dummy thick to clap my ass cheeks. Keep learning them. That's true. One of these ghosts are just thick, chat. That's what it is. You just hear them clapping. They're like, we can't help it. We can't help it. I can't help that I'm dummy thick. Of course, that shit turned to it in that moment. It did. Thank you, actually, the 5 eddies. And Mom at this point's like, you know, I think there might be something weird happening here, but still, like, not really brought up yet. Oh, and then it's the next night. And there's still just fucking weird shit happening around the house. All typical ghost stuff. They hear knocking, they hear rattling, whatever. But the next night we go to the girls' room where the one is always, and the same thing, the little girl, Kristen or whatever her name is, Quentin fucking Tarantino in there again, Ghost Tarantino just grabbing this girl's feet, nearly yanking her off the bed. She's like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? And then the Four Eyes wakes up. She's like, what's going on? She's like, someone is, oh my God. Oh my God. She's like, what's wrong? And she goes, there's someone behind the door. I see them. And she goes like, really? And she goes, yeah, and they keep farting. Because all they goes like, what is that smell? And the daughter's like, I'm not farting. And she goes over to the door. She's like, no, it's going to get you. And she goes over to the door and she pulls it aside and it's like, there's nothing there. It's like, no, there's nothing here. It's not there. She's like, oh, it's right behind you. The daughter's like, huh? And she turns around and we cut, camera cut, go, ah! That's it. And the parents are just sleeping and shit. Oh my God, they took the last cookie from the cookie jar, right? Shit like that. Just poltergeist stuff. Like, you know, like just being assholes. That's what ghosts are for most, but they're assholes until they're not. They go to the Five Betties. And then the parents are like, fuck it, Jesus. And they go into the room. They go into the room. And they see that the one girl, like the Four Eyes, is standing there like, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with her. I'm like, I'm not farting, okay? I know I can get a little gassy sometimes, but it's not me. But Kristen, she's like, oh my fucking God, oh my Jesus God. And the dad's like, honey, it's okay. You're just having a nightmare. It's like, no, it's not. Someone's fucking pulling on my feet. And there's someone's farting in here. And there was someone sitting behind Four Eyes. And I was so scared. And they told me that we're all going to fucking die. And my family is stupid. And they said, I'm stupid. I know what's going on. They're like, okay. It's like, all right, we'll fucking deal with it. We'll deal with it. And it's like, all right, Jesus Christ. So things are getting stressful for all these folks. And the mom waking up every morning, she's like more bruised than ever. It's like some fucked up's going on. She just looks like she got like the husband's like beating her or something. She's like, oh, everything hurts. And by the way, everyone's still sleeping in separate rooms and bullshit. I'm like, why would you do this? Why would you all sleep in separate rooms? And like, clearly something weird's going on. Oh, it's puberty. You're going through some changes, honey. It's okay. It's okay. Remember, girls, when you all thought you were being possessed by some fucking demon and you're haunted by ghosts? It's okay. You're just going through puberty. It's fine. You just have the vapors. So, next night, everyone's in bed again. And you have the sleepwalking girl. She goes into the room of the eldest. She's like, bonk, 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 just slamming her head against the dresser, chat. And the eldest daughter is like, what the fucking Jesus God? She's like, come here. And she like directs her. And she's like, okay, listen, you're gonna sleep in my bed tonight, okay? Come here. And she puts the girl in the bed. And the girl's like, and she opens her eyes. And the sister's right above her. She goes, and she's like, well, what's wrong? The dresser. The dresser! And she's like, what? It's like, over there! And the eldest daughter's like, okay, I'm coming from bravado. Things are the 30 biddies. Appreciate that. Bro. Good to see you, Avocado Bravado. Hope you're doing very well. Well, no anymore. Bro. And so the eldest sister goes over to the wardrobe. She opens it. She's like, no, there's nothing there. Nothing here. She goes, it's above you. And then the older sister goes, huh? And she looks up. And she fucking looks up. And we see this like, I forgot there's another scene in the movie too. There's two scenes happening here. So there's two things happening at the same time. But the older sister looks up, and we see this, like, Schmeagle hag just go, and just jumps on the sister, and she goes, it just starts beating the shit out of her. Just punching her in the fucking face. Like, it's not like biting her, it's just like punch. It's literally just backhanding her and slapping her and shit. Meanwhile, while this is happening, we cut to the mom. And she's downstairs. She's like, oh, my bruises. And she sees like the cellar door is open. She hears like one of the kids laughing down. She thinks she hears one of the kids laughing down there. Or she thinks there's someone in the house. She thinks there's like a burglar or something, like there's an intruder. And she goes there and she like turns the light on. Light shuts itself off as typical. But she sees the matches down there. And she's like, hey, listen. I'm going to lock you down here, mister. So I'm going to call the police. So you better get your behind out of here if you want trouble. And she goes to, this fucking cracks me up. She goes to leave and the door just goes, wham, just slams her right in the fucking face. Just breaks her fucking nose. And she goes, ah! And she fucking falls down the stairs. Just bump. Just the loudest fall imaginable. Every fucking step. Boom, hits the concrete floor. And meanwhile, the daughter's just like, help! As this fucking hag Schmeagle is just beating the shit out of her. So funny. The mom eventually is like, and she starts like scampering up. She like climbs up the stairs like a fucking dog. She's like, it's that kind of thing where you're trying to run as fast as you can and you literally just become like a primate again, where you're actually like using your fucking hands and arms just to pull yourself faster. She's like, and she gets up there and she's like, hey, let me out. And it's now opening and the little girl's like, ah. And then she sees the matches. She lights the match. She's like, who's down there? Who's ever down there? You better come out. And then we the famous moment from the trailer where these fucking giant man hands come out and nowhere and go, clap on, clap off. And they turn the light off and it just starts fucking pummeling her. Eventually, I think like one of the dad, he comes like, what the, because he just got home. What a coincidence. He just got home from his busy day or week of trucking. And he's like, what the fuck's going on in here? And he goes to the door and the wife's like, eh. He like drags around. You got like just pummeled. He's like, oh, and he hears the girl screaming, and he goes up in the room. He's like, what's going on? You're like, there was a fucking Schmiegel here, and he tried to attack me, and she was punching me, and you're like, oh, and then that's it. That's not what's happened. We then immediately cut. So that's all the spoopy stuff before the Warrens get there, all the spoopiness. Eventually, Chad, we cut to like Northwestern Connecticut University or some bullshit, and the Warrens are doing another special presentation, another lecture series. And, you know, it has students there, but also has guests from the community. And it has the mom, Mrs. Perron. She's there. She's listening to the Warrens. And we hear about this one possession of this French farmer that we saw earlier, and how he only had like a third grade education, and, you know, for whatever reason, he started speaking perfect Latin all of a sudden, and sometimes backwards. And then sometimes when we were doing the exorcism, the upside down crosses were appearing on his body. And they show it where they take off his shirt and they see these crosses form, and it's like the worst CGI imaginable. It's like, ooh. And all the students are like going, ooh, oh my God, I see it. It's like, all right. Darkseid, thank you for the fucking, can you do the hip? Help emote would be a good one to do. Help emote would be the best thing. Whatever happened, it fucked the learning off some. Apparently it did. Apparently it's really fun. We'll find out about that in a bit. But Mrs. Perron, she hears this, and she's like, oh shit. And the Warrens are like packing up because they did their day for the lecture and stuff, and they got their money and everything, as they do. And Mrs. Perron, she's like, hey, my fucking house is haunted. Can you like come right now to check it out? And I go, listen, we live in Connecticut. I mean, you live in Rhode Island. I mean, yes, I know they're close together, but it's going to take some time. She's like, no, let's go there right now. Only take 20 minutes. And they're like, okay. Like, I don't think James Wan understands the geography of the East Coast of the Northwest, because yes, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, and Massachusetts, they're all close to each other. It's still going to take a few hours to get to each place. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but you get there 5 minutes. It's like, that's not how this works. But okay, I know, because I lived in that area for a very long time. And it takes a long time to get to these places. So it's like, that's not how this shit works. But it's like, okay, fine. And so they go to the house. And the Warrens go up there. First of all, they look at the house and they're like, oh, yeah, that place is fucked. They immediately like, there's something wrong with this fucking place. They can tell. But they pull up there, and the wife lets him inside, and we see the husband. And Mr. Warren's like, oh, Mr. Perron, good to meet you. And Mrs. Perron, a pleasure to see you again. And Mrs. Warren, she's just like, just looking at everything. Like, her fucking expressions are like, oh, the whole time. But she's kind of like composing herself at the same. She's like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. Like, she's seeing some shit that no one is seeing right now. It is fucking funny. Her expressions kill me. And she sees the girl. She's like, oh, Jesus, no, 5 girls. Wow. Whoa, what a beautiful family. What a beautiful brood of young women. They're like, hi. And she goes, hey, how you doing, kids? How you doing? How's everything going? And they're like, well, things have been weird. And they're like, yeah, to say the least. And she's like, listen, my husband and I are going to take a look around at this place, okay? Kind of get a sense of things. They're like, sure. And the Patrick Wilson, he's like looking at things, or Ed Warren, he's like trying to open this one door, and it's like tethered. It's like tied with rope. And he's like, why is some of the doors tied? And he's like, all around, like, and it's the thing. All of like major haunting, because they're asking all these questions, and they're like, so what do you hear? Well, we always hear this weird rattling, this weird knocking. It goes boom, 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 and then it stops. And then it continues again, boom, boom, boom. And they go, yeah, that's not good. And they go, what does that mean? He goes, well, what you probably have here is a demon. And they go, excuse me, a demon? They go, yeah, demons typically, like, there's different types of, haunted houses and ghosts and things. You got like one of the worst ones. You got like a demon. And the demon will typically do this thing in a mockery of the sign of the cross, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, all that shit. And that's what he does. He does it to mock God, to mock JC, his main kid, JC. Yeah, that's what's probably happening right now. What do you have any like holy objects around here to keep the ghosts at bay? And they're like, no, we're not really the Christian sort. And they go, oh, yeah. Are any kids baptized? And they go, no. He's like, they're primed for possession. Then they're like, oh my god, like this is a worst case scenario when it comes to like a haunted house, chat. You're like, oh yeah, you're hitting. This is all the check boxes right now. Like this is just. This is not good. This is not good. They do another scene early in the movie, which I think to make the Warrens look better, where they go to another couple's home, and they actually explain, like, listen, you don't have ghosts. It's just you have, like, water damage, and it's causing the floors to warp, and it's causing the pipes to, like, rattle. That's what you're hearing. There's no ghosts and shit. So it tries to make the Warrens, like, look better than they actually do. Like, were in real life, which I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, for the fiction, like, at least the fictional versions are better than the real life versions. I thought that was cool. Yeah, and the clock thing. I was about to bring up the clock. And then all the clocks stop at 3:07, Chad. Now, is that the devil's eye? The devil's eye? I didn't know that. They do explain, like, why it stops at 3:07. They hear all this fucking weird shit, and everyone's getting grabbed, and everyone's smelling each other's farts. Like, there's a reason for it. I don't know if that was the devil's hour. There is another reason for it, and they say it in the movie. But they all start exploring the houses, and, fucking Ed Warren's always talking with Mr. Perron about shit and everything. But Lorraine, she's a clairvoyant, and so she's always going around. She's like, oh, yeah, something bad happened here. Something really, because they all go down the basement. She goes with Ed, and she's just like, she's like having dry heave. She's like, what's wrong? She's like, some real nasty shit went down here. Also, someone keeps fucking farting, and it's gross. And so they go up, and they're asking, like, what's the fart smell? They go, oh, it's fire and brimstone. Definitely a demon coming from hell. They always smell like farts. And it's like, oh, okay, like rotten meat, like sweet rotten meat. You have that kind of smell. It's like grody. The demon's got to eat more vegetables, Chad. Got to eat more leafy greens, okay? The demon eating too much meat, too much beans. And so they all go explore the house. Lorraine goes talk to the creepy fucking little girl who's like, this is my friend Rory. And she's like, how do you speak with Rory? And she's like, with the music box. And she's like, can I see? And she goes, yeah. And she gives Lorraine Lorraine the music box. She goes, do. And she starts like looking around. She goes, oh, yeah, there's the motherfucker. Because she sees the ghost in the back. She's like, I see you. The ghost is like, whoa! And the ghost just takes off running. I love that. It's like this little kid. It's like, yeah, we see the ghosts. I don't really like any of the ghost design. The main one, Basil Bub or Tarantino, whatever you want to call him. It's like, okay, looking like a zombie thing. But all other ghosts are typical, like, we're wearing, like, period piece clothes, like, Pilgrim-esque clothes from the 1800s or something. And they're all like, like that view. And they see this one little fucking kid just takes off running when Lorraine sees him. Eventually, she's like, can you show me where you found this? She goes, yeah, that tree. And she looks at the tree. She's like, oh, yeah, it's a creepy fucking possessed tree. And so then her and her husband, they go, Lorraine, she goes out there, and she's just feeling all the bad juju out there. Chad's not good. And Patrick Wilson, Ed Warren, he's like, so, honey, what do you think's going on here? She goes, there's some fucked up. She goes, oh, my God. Because she sees, like, right over his shoulder is this fucking dead woman. It's the Schmiegel-looking thing from earlier. But it's hanging on the tree. And she's like, oh, Ed, something horrible has happened here. And they're like, all right, we need to fucking do some interviews. And so they call in all their expert people. That we need some people with us. And they have all these assistants. They have this one guy who I don't know what his name is, but they're like the Ghostbusters now. They bring in this one paranormal guy. They bring in this police officer who's like, I don't believe any of this bullshit here. He's always chewing tobacco or gum. He's like, it's all bullshit to me. Just took the extra hours to earn a little bit more, for the support the wife and kids after all. And they go, yeah, okay, you're going to see some shit. He's like, no, I don't believe any of that mumbo jumbo. It's like, sure, okay, right now you don't. So they sit down for an interview. And Patrick Wilson, he gets this tape recorder out, and he's like, all right, listen, this is Patrick Wilson, Ed Warren, fucking whatever the date was, 1971, talking to the Perrons. Please, Mrs. Perron, and you first notice some of the paranormal activity, explain to us what happened. And, she starts talking about this, and he notices the bruise, and she's like, oh, it's like an iron deficiency. And he's like, Lorraine, she's sitting in for the interview, and she goes, actually, what it is the ghost is beating the shit out of you when you're asleep. She goes, really? She goes, yeah, that's what it's doing. And it's like, oh, that's not good. Eventually, they go back home, and they're like, they're talking amongst each other, and Lorraine's like, listen, we gotta fucking help this family, right? This is really fucking serious. I've never encountered something like this before. This is our biggest case yet. And he's like, all right, let me go listen to the tapes, and you take care of the daughter. And fucking Lorraine goes to tuck Wednesday Addams in. Their daughter's like a slightly less pale Wednesday Addams, chat. And Wednesday Addams, she's in her bed. Kid does something good for the mom, which I appreciate. She says, Mommy, I bought you this. And it's like a locket, and she's like, it's a pair of lockets. And she goes, the locket, it has my picture in it, and my locket has you and Dad, and I'm gonna wear it, and I love you. She goes, oh, honey, that's so sweet. Thank you so much for using your big girl money to buy this. She goes, I love you, Mommy. And she's like, I love you too. You be nice to Nana. She's like, I love Nana too. She's like, I know you do. And she's like, good night. She says, night, Mommy. She goes to sleep, and Ed Warren's like, hey, Lorraine, you should probably listen to some of this. And they sit down, listen to the tape, and it starts like how it does. We saw like a couple minutes ago, Chad, like this is Ed Warren. The date is something 1971. Speaking with the parents. Ms. Perron, what can you tell us about the paranormal experiences you've had? And it's just silence in the tape. And Ed Warren's like, that's interesting. Lorraine, what do you think? And Lorraine speaks, and she goes, but please continue, Mrs. Perron. And nothing. They're not hearing none of that shit. None of that shit. Also, this is great. It's a great reveal earlier. So before they actually leave, I forgot about this because it was so fucking ridiculous. So the reason why Lorraine was like, when she's first introduced to everybody, like at the end of the day, she goes, hey, listen, so yeah, you got like a demon here, and he's just fucking with you, and the demon has like acolyte ghosts. Now, I don't know why the ghosts are being pricks, because the demon fucked with all of them. Like, fucked them all, chat. But I don't know, like, I would like a helpful ghost every once in a while in a movie. Like, hey, listen, I'm not here to scare you. I'm just here to help you. This ghost got me. I'm not here to fuck with you, all right? And we never get that in these movies, and it's very frustrating, unless it's Casper or some bullshit. She goes, listen, when I walked in, I saw an oily CGI abomination behind you. And we see how Lorraine sees in these movies, and it's just this really bad-looking CGI shadow creature that's behind all the people going, ooh. And it's attached them, it's like feeding on them. And she's like, yeah, it's feeding on you, it's feeding on your wife, it's feeding on all the girls, it's feeding on each and every single one of them. And they're like, whoa, geez, so can't we just leave? And they go, nah. Nah, Ed Warren makes the comparison. He makes the allegory. It's like bubble gum. Sometimes it just sticks to you, and you take it wherever you go. Ghosts are bubble gum. It's like, all right, okay, sure. And so that's why no matter, it'll always follow them. Once it gets a hold of you, it'll never let go unless you do exorcism bullshit. We're listening to the tape, and they're like, there's like, the ghost is clearly fucking with their equipment and making sure like no information is getting out there. And, you know, Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren are like, all right, we got to get fucking involved in this. We have to take this seriously. And then the fucking tape recorder starts working. The ghost is like, fuck you, I fucking hate you, never mind, I'll eat their souls. And that's it. It's like, cool. And so they go there the next day. They unload all their equipment. They got the police guy. They got the cop with them. They have their other assistant there. And they're setting up fucking shop. They got all these little ghost traps, like Ghostbusters shit, chat. They got all these cameras everywhere, and they got these little pulley systems. Anything that passes by, it'll set off the trap or something, and you'll get a picture, and you can see these ghosts. So ghosts are akin to her, pretty much, or bubblegum. In this case, they didn't want to use the herpes analogy. They're like, let's let's make it, let's bubblegum. A little better for the mass audiences to understand. But yes, herpes is true. I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum and a lot of gum. A lot of bubble gum. That is not Duke Nukem. That is Roddy Piper. Duke Nukem stole that from Roddy Piper. I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. Now that was Roddy Piper, but Duke Nukem stole a lot of quotes back in the day. Bot chat. I'm a John Carpenter fan, chat, so I gotta support my man. Anyway, cheers. So they start setting up shop and everything. And they get all this the stuff going, and they all bond with each other, like, you know, Lorraine bonds with Mrs. Perron. She shows her this picture of them on the beach. You know, it's like, that was the last picture we took before we came here. We just thought it was such a beautiful day in the beach, and we wanted to capture this happy moment before all the fucking horrible shit there's happening. And she's like, it's okay. Focus on that moment. It might save your life. It's like, oh, I wonder if that's some fucking epic foreshadowing later on, chat. We'll see. And then fucking Ed Warren, he's fixing like their Chevy that was on the property that they towed with them. And he's like, He's like, hey, I want to help you out. He's like, hey, thanks. And he's like, hey, like, I just want to thank you, Mr. Warren, for helping me and my wife and the girls through this. It's like, we don't understand all this stuff, but we really appreciate it. He's like, it's okay. I'm just worried about my wife. He's like, is she sick? Is she okay? She goes, every time we do something like this, it takes a little bit of her. It takes a piece of her each time. He's like, well, what happened? What are you talking about? Well, he's like, you know that one case we worked out with the French farmer who had like a third grade education? Apparently, he fucking freaked out. And we see the footage, chat, where he's like, rah! And he grabs her. He grabs, like, no! He grabs her, chat. And he goes, rah! And she goes, ew! And she just freaks. She saw something so horrifying, chat. And the guy, like, shot himself. And he shot his wife. And it was awful. All on caught in footage. And he said, the thing is, when Lorraine came home, she just went to our room. She locked the door. I couldn't even get in there. And she didn't eat. She didn't drink for 8 days. It's like she would be dead. If she didn't have any water, any fluids for 8 days, she would be dead. But it's like, okay, I'm here to kick bubble gum and chew ass, and I'm all out of ass. I like that one. That's a good one. I like that. Thank you so much, Mordecai, for biddies. And Miss Perron's like, oh, Jesus, wow. And she's like, I just took a big piece this time. I'm just afraid this is going to take the biggest piece of all. He's like, oh, I sure hope that doesn't happen. Me too. They set everything up. And you know, we get like a few gags where all of a sudden they're walking around and stuff, and they go down to the basement. Oh no, maybe before that, like they notice like this one door creaks open. They're like, oh, they're all watching this door, and you hear like a flushing toilet, and the cop steps out. He's like, what? I had to go. And he's like, oh, that's where all the fart smell was coming from. Eventually, we're like, okay, let's go down the basement and see if we can pick up any, you know, paranormal things. And they go down there and they're like, appear before us, ghost, appear before us, and recording all this. And they're like, oh, what the fuck's going on? And shit, and nothing's on camera. And they're like, well, maybe we'll go upstairs. And they go upstairs and hear this, bah, 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 bah. They just hear this super loud noise. The camera's like whipping around and shit. And you see in the corner of the camera, it's like, there's the fucking ghost. They're like, I don't see nothing. And eventually they go upstairs, and the one assistant's like, hey, so man, would you see anything down there? He's like, oh, it was just a draft. Yeah, draft makes that kind of noise. He goes, I mean, it can get pretty windy down there. You never know. And it's like, all right, clearly something bad's happened. And then we get the... For whatever reason, and it's hilarious to me, like everyone just goes to sleep in their own beds, and I have no fucking idea why. Like, why the hell would you just go to sleep? Like, just stay in the same room with everyone. Like, let's just stay here. But like, all right, let's just go to bed. And like, all in our separate beds and all separate rooms of the house. It's like, all right. And so eventually, everyone's like monitoring all the things, and you have the cop. He's like, oh, I need a good old cup of Joe. I'm gonna get some. You want anything, buddy? He goes, yeah, I can use another cup. He's like, sure. And so he goes to the kitchen. And we see, by the way, early in the movie, this one girl has, like, I made this giant fucking weird-looking wind chime, and it's huge. And, of course, you hear something just banging it when the cop goes to the window. He's like, huh? And there's, like, a rock. Every room is a rocking chair. All the rocking chairs are rocking back and forth constantly. He's just like, what is that? And then you hear this voice that goes, see what she made me do. And he's like, huh? And he walks out, so he's like, who's there? Hey, who's there? He knows something about biddies. Strength in numbers, people. This ain't Scooby-Doo. This is Scooby-Doo. I mean, they're like, let's split up, gang. It's totally that. It's like, it's indulging every single trope. Elliot Hobb, thank you. Welcome to stream, good sir. I am doing very well. Couldn't have my Conjuring review. We're following this stupid fucking moron. He's walking into the house. And so he's like, I guess no one was there. Whatever. Also, we find out when they come back to the house. So after, you know, they reveal like what's actually been going on in this house, and they come back to the family and they explain the situation to them, and they say, oh yeah, we looked up the records, and in like 1875, this couple moved in. And they had a baby, and the husband was like coming home from like a hard day's work, and he saw his wife had given birth to the baby and was stabbing the fuck out of it, chat, with like a pair of scissors, sacrificing it to Satan. And she was trying to do, like, literally trying to do this to Satan, chat, threw in the fucking fire and all that. She's like, yeah. And And the husband chased her outside, but she fucking crawled up the goddamn tree like a schmeagle where she had prepared a noose. She tied it around herself and she hung herself, chat. And that's where we see that one body. And her name was Bizabub Tarantino or something. You think Bahaba? She has like a made up name, chat. Like I'm gonna call her Baron Bino Tarantino. That's her name to me, chat. Baron Bino Tarantino, okay, of the Tarantino family, grabbing and snatching feet. And people, she cursed, before she died, she made a speech, and the husband recorded all this somehow, and she said, whoever shall own my land, which is like apparently like 100 acres or some bullshit, they shall be cursed forever, or whatever, they shall feel my wrath, and she hung herself. And there was all this weird fucking cases of children disappearing and dying, a mother stabbing her one child to death and stuff. And they're like, oh shit, so this is all the fucking ghosts she's collected over time. So her name is Baron Bino Tarantino, chat. Thank you for the 5 biddies. Witness! Nia Brownie's here? Feet? Yes, Nia Brownie. Oh, the feet. It's on. Hey, Christopher. Hey, Juicy Game. How you doing? Hard Hands, Nia Brownie. Welcome to stream. I hope you're doing very well. We're in the middle of my review of the Cosmic Call Tarantino, Baron Bino Tarantino. But that's what's going on, chat. So this is the ghost. This is the demon, and it's this. And the fucking mother is like asking, so why the fuck is this thing? Why did this woman sacrifice her baby to Satan? They're like, well, she's practiced witchcraft, and in their minds, in order to get close to Satan, they must kill the thing that mothers supposedly love most, which is their child. And she went stab, 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 and threw in the fire. And it's like, oh, shit, that's not good. But then we cut back to the cop chat. The cop's like, what do? And he walks right by the laundry room, and there's this fucking girl just standing there just going, ah. He's like, hey, who are you? What are you doing here? What are you doing? She's like, see what she made me do? And she's like slit her wrist. Her wrist is all slit. She goes, wow! She goes, like, oh! And the cop's like on the ground. He's like spitting up tobacco and like gum. He's like, Patooey, stay with me, Patooey. And everyone runs to the cop and he's like, there's a girl right there. There's your fucking wrist roll cut and she scared me. Ah, Jesus. And we're like, oh my God. And they hear this knocking all of a sudden. And then, you know that girl that's always sleepwalking? She's sleepwalking again, and she's just going, bonk, bonk. She's hitting her head against all the walls. And they're like, oh, she sleepwalks sometimes. She's like, no. Clearly a ghost is possessing her body right now. And Lorraine's like, I can fucking see it. Oh, it's right on her. It's right on her. It's sucking her soul out. And they're like, oh, shit. He's like, we got to stop. He's like, no, we got to capture on film. And they're like she's going through all the traps, and she's setting off all the photography equipment and shit. And eventually she goes upstairs into where the big wardrobe dresser is, and the drum just fucking slams shut. And the girl goes, ah! Just starts screaming, help, like all that shit. And they're trying to get in the door and stuff. And they break in the fucking thing, and the girl's gone. She's not anywhere. They open the dresser. There's nothing there. Like, oh, shit. And, Ed Warren's like, assistant guy, go get me the black light. Because we can see, like, the handprints left behind by the black light. So the guy says, he runs downstairs, grabs the black light. And Ed starts shining, and there's like a fucking million handprints all over the goddamn room. It's like, ugh, crawling the walls like Spider-Man. It's like, that's not good. A lot of kids have been in here, Chad, been crawling on the walls. They're dirty little sons of bitches. And then he goes, but he sees like most of the handprints and like footprints all lead to the dresser. He goes and it opens it, and there's this one corner of the dresser where it's all hit with hands, like it's all handprints there. And he's like, he knocks on it, and it's fucking hollow. He's like, oh, there's something behind here. And he moves the tile, and there's this big fucking creepy hole right in the middle. They're like, well, that's not good. And he's like, I'm going to go inside of it. I would never go inside it. But he pokes his head in, and the girl's like in the corner going, ah! But she's not dead. She's just traumatized for life. And he pulls her out and shit. And he's like, oh, here she's, and you can see their breath because it's so fucking cold. There's so many fucking ghosts in the room. They take her downstairs. And eventually, Lorraine's like, give me the little girl's music box that she found. She's like, is it this one, Lorraine? She goes, yes, here it is. He's like, yeah. And so she takes it, and she goes in the room. It's like a little cubby hole, because apparently one of the former tenants, this kid who was abused by his mom, he got stabbed in like the eyes and stuff. This is like his little hidey hole, so his mom wouldn't stab him in the eye so much. And she sees this is where the music box was. She walks because she sees like this dust outline, this one shelf. He's all these like a creepy. Everything's creepy in here. Even the blocks are creepy. Chat. They're like, oh, demonic looking. It's like, that's not good. But she sees this dust outline where the music box. When she puts it down, she goes, there it is. as everything should, and she fucking falls through all the floorboard shit, and she goes boom, 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 like 3 fucking floors all the way down, and they're like, oh shit, by the way, she should have broken like all of her fucking legs, just legs that should have been like bones sticking out and shit, just meat and flesh and cartilage shit just spilling out of her legs now, but nope, she's okay, but she's like, and it looks like she's down in the basement, but they don't realize that. Because Ed is just like, Lorraine, are you okay? Just banging all the fucking walls like, Lorraine. And she's like, too much asbestos. And, you know, she's realized she's down in the basement, which is, you do not want to be down in the basement now, obviously. And she's like, but she senses something's nearby as everyone's like looking for her. And she gets the music box, so happens to be right next to her. And not a scratch on her, she's completely fine. Completely fine. She had no injuries at all. Nothing happened. She picks up the music box. There's the do pops open. The little creepy con's like, hey! And she looks in the mirror and she sees like this woman with her back turned to her, and she's just going to town, stabbing this little kid in the face. It's like, she made me do it. She made me do it. It's like, oh. And then we cut, and Lorraine, and it's the whole jump scare where she's like, huh? And she like turns around. She's like, oh, the ghost is right there. She's like, she made me do it. And I was like, all right. And then Lorraine's like, then the ghost, she turns her head again because she hears something. The woman, the mother is gone. It's like, all right. But then she starts hearing shit. She's like, all right, I got the fuck out of here. And she starts to like run. She's like, Ed. And then all of a sudden, something like throws her or someone pushes her, and it grabs her locket, and she's like, ah. And she takes it from her and gets like caught in the basement, gets like hanging on this like chair or something. And everyone comes down in the basement, they grab Lorraine, they get out. And at that point, everyone's like, that's when they get up to the living room, and Lorraine's like, oh, there's something here. There's something so horrible. We fucking know. And then like one of the girls, this scene cracks me up. It kills me to this day, shit. Every time I see it, and I know it's supposed to be scary, but I'm sorry, it's so unintentionally funny. Where one of the girls looks like their hair has like some static electricity and starts like lifting up, and the girls are like, oh, the little girl's like, what's wrong? And then this thing just starts slamming her. She goes, just starts hitting all the wall shed, going through the mirrors and the windows, goes out of the house, comes back in the house, just throwing her around, and not a single injury, chap. But like, help me, and they have to like cut her hair off, chap, to get the ghost from smashing her in the shit. And then it cuts the morning, and they're like, we're getting the fuck out of here. We gotta leave, all right? And they're like, all right, well. When they all filmed this, too, they all got this on camera. And so, we're going to go to the fucking parish here. Our priest, we got a priest. You know, he's connected to the Vatican. He's got the connections to the Pope, John Paul himself. I guess, was John Paul II? No, I guess he wasn't the Pope yet. But he said, we're going to go talk to our priest. And we're going to tell him about this. You guys just stay. But even though this doesn't make any sense. They're like, you guys stay safe, okay? So they're leaving the house, but the ghost still knows where the fuck they are. The ghost still fucking knows. It's always attached to you. It's feeding off you constantly, no matter what. It's like bubble gum. It's like bubble gum. So it doesn't make any sense. Don't forget the mom getting, oh my God, I forgot. Yeah. So there is another scene in the movie. I totally forgot about this. So when this, I think this happens, this happened earlier in the film. I forgot because it's ridiculous. But at one point, Lorraine is doing like laundry and shit, and she talks to Ed, and they're bonding, and they smooch, and it's so cute. Actually, the chemistry between Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson is very good. They work well together. There's no doubt about that. But when she's doing laundry, the fucking, apparently, Baron Bino Tarantino can control the weather. She's like fucking Halle Berry, Storm Chat from X-Men, and all these fucking storm clouds start like forming, and the wind picks up, and one of the sheets that Lorraine was trying to fold gets out of her hands, and it gets stuck by like to one of the ghosts, and you see like the outline of the ghost. It was like right behind her. She goes, fuck, and then it disappears, and it hits this window, and we see Baron Bino Tarantino just up in the Mrs. Perron's room, Carolyn's room. She goes, oh no, Carolyn, and she goes up there. Meanwhile, Carolyn, she's just taking a little nap. She's like, but then she starts smelling some farts, and she's like, oh God, and she opens her eyes, and she's like, because she's like frozen. And we see the Baron Bino Tarantino in all of her Schmeagol Gollum glory just go, and she's like, oh, and she just starts, and this is what she does, chat. You ever seen a mama bird feed a baby bird? That's what it is, chat. Because she just goes, and she just starts vomiting this mucusy, bloody, pulpy mass inside of the mom. Just, she's like, she's just eating all that shit. It's the closest thing I think a movie has gotten to 2 girls, 1 cup chat. I think this is the equivalent. 2 girls, 1 ghost. Exactly. And then she hears all, because, what's her name? No one else hears this, by the way. But Lorraine, she runs up the stairs. She's like, "Oh, Carolyn, are you okay?" And Carolyn's like, "I'm fine. Just had a cough is all. I'm okay. She's like, "Are you sure? I saw Baron Bino Tarantino." And she's like, "No, it's fine. Just a sore throat." It's like, okay. That's what happens. I forgot about that scene. Anyway, but then everyone's like, "Okay, we're just gonna leave the house." Which, again, why would you do that? I mean, the ghost already knows where you are, but whatever. So they take the footage to a priest, and we see like the Perron family. They go in like a motel, like I don't know how many miles away. Like they're in a motel somewhere. But the Warrens, they give this footage to the local priest. There's a connection to the Vatican. He sees this like, "Wow, fucking shit. Woo, oh my God." And he goes, "Listen, we need to have an exorcism performed like now." He goes, "I got to get the permission from the Vatican to do something like this, okay?" And like, we need to show them this now. He's like, "I got to send it. They got to see this footage first." And he's like, "I got to send it." They're like, "Fuck, okay, fine." Jesus. Meanwhile, chat, because Ed and Lorraine, they're walking outside the church, and she goes, "Listen, like, this ghost, like, it knows who we are now. It might start fucking with his Ed." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. We keep all that creepy shit at the house. It's not like the ghost is going to get wind of that and, like, team up with the other occult objects, right?" Right? And so then we cut to the house, right? And we see, their daughter, Wednesday Adams, or Judy, whatever the hell her name is, and she's sleeping, and we see the lockets just fucking spinning randomly around, and we see back at the Perron's house, chat, Baron Bino Tarantino, she's trying to connect to that locket. So I guess I don't know how this works. I guess it's a conduit. So she's like, "Well, because this is an object of love and affection between families, I can teleport myself from here to then the Warrens' home." That's what it does. That's what she does. And then we get a really fucking fun scene when Baron Bino Tarantino just goes inside of the occult room and goes, "Oh, a smorgasbord, a smorgasbord." Like, it's like she's like Templeton the Rat, chat, and she's like, oh, this is the one. And she goes up to Annabelle, and she's like, "Listen, Annabelle, like, this is terrible what they're doing to you right now. Do you want to team up and scare the shit out of their daughter?" Annabelle's like, "I guess I'll take that as a yes." And she just takes the fucking doll, and then they starts doing weird shit with it. Meanwhile, Judy wakes up, typical haunted house shit, hears knocks and clicks and shit, and she walks up. Nana's like, Nana's sleeping, chat. Nana's like, she's lost to the world right now. And she's like, "Mom, Dad, is that you?" And she, like, walks downstairs, and she sees that the occult room door is open. That's creepy as fuck. And all the lights start going out. All the bulbs start bursting. She's like, "Nana!" And then Nana's door slams shut. And she starts running because all the darkness is chasing her. And she goes into, like, her dad's study area. And she runs in there, and she's like, locks the door. She's like, and then she hears that, again, everyone owns a rocking chair. Great. And she turns around, chat, and she sees Baron Bino Tarantino sit in the rocking chair of Annabelle. And we actually see Annabelle do something, where Annabelle's just sitting on, like, Baron Bino Tarantino's just kind of, like, brushing Annabelle's hair. And, like, this is kind of cool. I like the ghost that, like, they teamed up. I think that's kind of interesting to me. I don't know why they don't do that more often. But the Annabelle just goes, "Hey." And she goes, "Ah!" And then Ed and Lorraine are almost home, and they're like, "Oh, I think something bad's happening." She has a sense. And Nana, she hears little Judy Wednesday Adams screaming. She's like, "Oh, Jesus, I'm coming. And she's like, "Open the door, Wednesday." She's like, "Ah!" And eventually Ed and Lorraine, they walk in there, chat, and fucking Ed, he just does a fucking Kool-Aid man, just bursts through the door. Oh, yeah. Grabs the kid as Baron Bino Tarantino just fucking gets the rocking chair at Annabelle. Annabelle's like, "Wait, this wasn't part of the plan." And just throws them at Ed and the little girl. They both hit the fucking wall. Annabelle's fine. It was funny when I saw it. And they're like, "Oh, shit. Bino Tarantino knows where we are. And so they take Annabelle, like, you little fucking bitch. She's like, hey, I'm sorry. I took an opportunity and I paid for it, all right? I didn't expect her to fucking throw me. But they put her back in her little case. The Avengers assemble, chat. They put her back in her case and they do a bless. Who fucking knows? That thing is not secure, by the way. That glass, you could easily just burst. Boom. Easy to get at. I don't know. Maybe it's like protected with some sacred runes or some bullshit. Or some, Christianity magic. I don't know. Man, they're like, all right, this is bad. This is really bad. This is just not a good situation. I really do hope the Perrons are doing okay. And we cut to the motel, and fucking all hell's broken loose at this point. Because Mr. Perron, he went with the cop and the assistant to the other paranormal investigator, the Ghostbuster, to pick up some food for the family. And, like, the sister's like, Dad, Mom, like, left, and she took, like, Kristen and the littlest one, and she was, like, smelling like farts, and she was sounding weird, and we think she's going back to the house. And they're like, well, that's not good. We got to go and get her. And Mr. Perron, he calls about this, like, my fucking wife, I don't know, something's wrong with her. She took the kids. And they're like, oh, shit, we got to go. And again, they live, the haunting is happening in Connecticut. The hauntings happen in Rhode Island. The Warrens live in Connecticut, and yet everyone gets there in the span of maybe like 15 minutes. They get there at the same time. It's like, that's not how fucking geography works. They're not that close together, so I don't know how that happens. Unless the Warrens know some fucking rune teleportation magic, chat. That's my only explanation. I just don't get it. But we cut to the mom, and she says, because we see the two girls in the car. It's the one that's always been, and it makes sense why Baron Bino Tarantino is now possessing the mom, chat. It's because he was just hitting her, he was ripening her up, chat, so we can get in there, like, get in there now, bruising her and stuff. But he took the girl who he's always obsessed with the feet. Like, he's dead. That's the one, the feet girl, Kristen or whatever. And the littlest one who's always talking about her friend Rory, the little ghost kid. And fucking Kristen's like, Mom, where are we going? And Mom's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm a little worried. She's sounding like Vincent D'Onofrio from Men in Black. Remember, chat? Like, sugar water. Like, sounds exactly like that. I'm like, I would, why did you even choose to go with her? Listen, if my mom suddenly was like rotting and just smelling like fucking farts and started sounding like Vincent D'Onofrio, I would be concerned. I'd be like, I don't want to go with you anywhere, Mom. I'm a little concerned about this. But these are the dumbest of the children. So they leave. They go. And eventually, like, the Perrons, I guess, they get there first. And the Warrens finally they're like 5 minutes behind them. Again, I don't know how any of this fucking happened. I know the geography of the Northwest, Northeast. This is not humanly possible. But they get there right in the nick of time because they hear all this fucking screaming in the basement. Just, and they go down there and they see that the possessed Carolyn, Baron Bino Tarantino has got a good old-fashioned baby stabber, chat, and she's trying to stab Kristen in the eyes, and they're like, grab her, like, stop doing it. She's like, fuck you, I'll cut off your dick, and doing all that kind of stuff, like typical ghost things, all that. And eventually she's like throwing people off, and because she has like super strength all of a sudden. And the kids, they take off running. Lorraine puts one of the girls. They take one of the girls. Oh, they're trying to take everyone out. So they take everyone out of the house, but Baron Bino Tarantino won't let Karen leave. So when they're trying to pull her out, her skin starts burning off and like starts melting and shit's like, ew, gross. It's like, ew, that's not good. And Lorraine's like, she can't leave the home. She can't leave the domicile. It'll kill her if we remove her. And it's like, oh shit, we gotta take her back in the basement. Take her back in the basement. Lorraine walks Christine in the police car. The littlest girl, she ran away. We don't know where the fuck she is at this point. She's gone. And we go back in the basement where the cop, Ed, Mr. Perron, Lorraine, they're all trying to like hold her down, and she's just freaking out. And she starts biting. It's like, I was wondering when the biting was gonna happen. And she just goes, and she just attaches herself to the cop's face, just rips a big fucking glob of meat. And he's like, oh, and he also is like, oh, and he throws his shotgun out of the way because he's like in so much pain as his fucking face is being bitten by Baron Bino Tarantino. He's freaking out. Eventually, they tie her to the chair. They wrap a sheet around her, Chad, and it's all like, ow! And he's like, Ed's like, fuck, I gotta do the exorcism. Lorraine's like, you've never done this before. You need a priest. He's like, we have no choice right now. We have to save her life because it'll fucking kill her and make her all gross. It's like, all right, shit. And so he starts doing the exorcism in Latin, all that. Nobody pachi se fili spiritu sante, amen. Meanwhile, the assistant, he hears the little girl like, oh, Rory, I'm so scared. And the assistant's like, oh, what little girl, where are you? He's like looking around the house for her. And eventually, he hears her. She's in the kitchen, but she's underneath the floorboards. She went through like the cupboard or the dresser area through the hole. And apparently you can just, that's all the ghosts are getting around. They're just crawling through the fucking walls. Gross. And she's like in the floorboards of the kitchen. So he starts like stabbing the floor. I'm like, I'm going to get you. As he's like stabbing the floorboards. Like you might hit the girl, but whatever. We cut back. Also, Barambino Tarantino has control of ravens, and she summons an army of ravens who then begin pelting the house, and also the cop car trying to get Kristen and the cop car. Just and then we also see a few other scenes of the birds just hitting the fucking houses and shit. Whatever. You know, just throwing them so like, bah, all that shit. But they, fucking, Ed is doing the thing, and we see this this blood like spittle shooting out of the blanket, the sheet they wrapped her in, and a rip forms in it because it's like super acidic. It's like huge. She got like acid vomit. She's like that velociraptor chat that spit at Newman in Jurassic Park. Remember, chat? The Dilophosaurus. She's like Barambino Tarantino combined with a Dilophosaurus. It's getting worse, chat, before it gets better. KC, yo, Chris, you covering Samurai Jack? I am indeed. We're after this one. And Tyran Prime, welcome to the stream. Thank you for following my new Huckleberry. Currently in the middle of my review, Conjuring. Almost done with it. But Ed, he starts doing all the things, saying all these words and stuff, and it's all the things. Fucking Carolyn, Barambino Tarantino starts floating the fucking air and going upside down and spinning around the room and shit, doing all sorts of tricks and stuff. And eventually they're like, all right, we gotta. Oh, that's the thing, because she starts like, she starts like dying, like, we gotta, my wife is dying, I have to untie her. Like, don't fucking untie her, you moron. And the husband starts untying the ropes, like, honey, it's gonna be okay. And she fucking bites the shit out of him. He's like, starts freaking out. She also takes control of the gun and tries to shoot Ed from completing the prayer, but she's free and shit. And she's like, she's like Schmeagle all of a sudden. And she hears the little girl crying as the sister's trying to get her out of the fucking floorboards. And she's like, Mommy, I'm scared. And she's like, oh, boy, Mommy's coming right now. And she grabs the baby stabber, which is like the biggest pair of scissors I think I've ever seen in a movie. She just grabs the baby stabber and she starts crawling in all the holes. And she starts crawling around. Meanwhile, the girl's like, ew, Mom, no. You could smell her before you see her, Chad. She's just pooping and she's just covered in her own feces and urine at this point. She's just trying to get through there, like, I'm gonna stab you. And eventually, she grabs the girl, and like everyone's like fighting through the floorboards at the same time. They're coming from different directions. They're just like, we gotta just go through this fucking floor. Fuck our bones, fuck our like physics. Punch through wood and brick, and they're like holding on the Barambino Tarantino. But look, it's Lorraine, Chad. It's Lorraine who comes in there and says, Carolyn, remember that day on the beach you told me about? Remember that happy memory? Your daughter needs you right now. And Barambino Tucci's like, she's already fucking dead. And she's like, no, she's not. I know she's still here. Because you would have killed that girl already, Barambino Tarantino. And then Mom's like, I am still here. They're fighting over it. And eventually the mother kind of recovers a little bit, and she lets the daughter go. She's like, go, run, honey, run. And she's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And then there's like, Barambino's like, ah. And then Ed's like, Barambino Tarantino, I send you back to hell. And he throws like holy water on her, and he completes the prayer. And Barambino's like, ah. And she goes. She leaves. And the mom's like, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, the mom starts vomiting up all the baby bird, all the bloody, pulpy, just spittle that Barambino Tarantino put in her tummy earlier in the movie. Goes, all of it. That's a lot. There was a lot in her. Baths above. No, her name is Barambino Tarantino. And so vomits all that shit up. She's like, I don't feel great. You wouldn't feel great. But everyone's there. The fucking family's there. They all hug Mom. Mom's okay. And the parents are like, thank you so much, Ed. Thank you so much, Lorraine. You too. And you too, other guy. It was great. And they're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. They leave. We also see the cop. He's holding most of his face together like, ow. And the assistant goes, so just a draft, huh? It's like, fuck you. I would have been like, just fuck you, shut up. Half my face is gone right now, so fuck you. And so everyone's like, yay. And we cut to the end of the movie, and Lorraine's hanging out, like, loving Judy Wednesday Addams. Like, yeah, I love you. I love you too, mommy. And we see Ed. He's bringing in the music box. Like, they're bringing in Baron Bino Tarantino. And he's like, oh, here we go. And they put it right there on the shelf, Chad. We're on the shelf. And he leaves the room. And, of course, it pops open. And it starts doing the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And you're looking at the spiral mirror like, oh, someone's going to pop out. Someone's going to pop out. But it cuts to black, Chad. No more ghosts. It's done. And that, my friends, is my scene by scene breakdown of The Conjuring, the original 2013 Conjuring film by James Wan. It was a happy ending. It was a happy ending. It could have ended here, Chad, but no. It spawned a huge fucking franchise, a very commercially successful franchise of various quality. Of critical quality, I would say, but no doubt about it. It has been a success for a lot of filmmakers, a lot of actors, no doubt, especially for Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, of course, for James Wan. Introducing a lot of great directors, thankfully, to the franchise, such as David F. Sandberg, who did Annabelle 2. I thought he did a great job, which is a prequel film. But, Chad, thank you. The only one with everybody's Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga say this film. Yeah, it's a thing. To be positive. I think that's one of the best aspects of this movie is the on-screen chemistry and the acting of both Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They do a great job. Like, and all these ghosts, I said in the beginning, they don't really focus on the paranormal investigators a lot. Mostly it's the family. Even though they do that here, because most of the family, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson get, they're the ones you're like, oh, okay. They're the most knowledgeable. They know what they're doing. Like, I get that. Like, so many times in these paranormal movies, like, yeah, you bring in those people and they fuck up always. They never have it right. But they are quite good. I like them. Their chemistry works. I can see why some of these films in the franchise focus on them. They're in terms of there's no bad I mean, there is some bad acting. I think the ghost stuff is ridiculous, especially the ghost acting, like all that shit. It's over the top to me. But they're very good. I liked a lot of the practical effects, even though I'm not a big fan of these types of scares. These haunted house scares, like lifting someone up and slamming against walls, and all that kind of like anti-gravity shit. It's like, all right, whatever. But I like that they had a lot of practical effects in this movie. And I mean, it moves at a good pace, about a little over an hour and 40 minutes, so it's not too bad. It's not too long, which I appreciate. And like, I hate when you have these haunted houses when they go on for so long. But despite that, chat, it fully indulges in all the tropes you see in these movies. Like, it's other than those couple things, it's no different than a lot of haunted house films or a lot of ghost movies, a lot of exorcism movies. This is doing the same thing. That's why I've always been very surprised by the success of the Conjuring films. I was like, yeah, it's just not for me. I don't get it. I'm not really. It just kind of becomes boring after a while with me because they hit every single one. It's like, I know this is what's going to happen next. This is what happened next, and then this, and it's like, there you go. And each one feels the same to me. But Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga do a good job. I like the practical effects. Very nice. But other than that, chat, yeah, just kind of not my thing. I would probably give it, and too much farting, way too much farting, chat, all the time. I would give it a high rental. I'd give this a high rental, chat. Ed, Badzaba, Chris, no, Baron Bino, Tarantino, Demon, I'm good with whichever. Exactly. Cities was successful. There's not for me. A lot of these movies. I like the second Annabelle movie a lot. I think I give it like a high matinee when I review it someday. At least when I first saw it, I was like, I like this movie. But yeah, this one I would give like a high rental. Not my thing, chat. Not my thing. But full respect to the creators. Totally, I understand why it's such a success. But not my kind of movie. Oh, but Lord, chat, that was a fun review. I still hope you like that review, chat. My scene by scene breakdown of The Conjuring. The first in a long series of films. I'll be reviewing a lot of Conjureverse films this week. I'll be doing the first Annabelle, which is kind of regarded as the worst one in this franchise. So, oh boy, can't wait for that one. And I think I'll do Conjuring 2 on Wednesday, chat. I'll do Conjuring 2 on Wednesday. I'll do Annabelle. I'm going to do like kind of the Annabelle Conjuring movies. So maybe I'll do that for, I don't know, because I want to do Fast and Furious films like next week, but start next week. But I'll do at least all the mainline Conjuring movies this week, the ones that are out right now. So Conjuring 1, 2, which I'll do on Wednesday. Annabelle is tomorrow. It's a stinker. That's what I've heard. Oh, my Lord, chat. But I need a break. I am sweaty. I'm hot. I need a beverage, chat. So in the meantime, please entertain yourselves amongst yourselves. Not smiles. Okay. I'll be right back. Stick around.